They were pushed to survive on their wits and wisdom. And this is how they became, mostly using their skill and brains, they became thinking people. So Jews through the centuries became lawyers, bankers, philosophers, physicians, professors of all kinds. And according to Transcending and Saul Singer, who wrote the book Israel, a Startup Nation, they said as if a chain of generation became, through the generation, there is a chain of thinking skills of Jewish people. I don't agree, I think everybody has the same skill, but I'm just quoting what they said in their book. So it's not my idea, but I tell you that I remember my mother every day used to tell me, you have to study and learn hard in order to become somebody. So in spite of the fact that I was an outstanding student and most of my time in school I was standing out of my class, still, once I completed my service, my obligatory service, I ran to the university to register, and since then I always studied. But this is not the only thing. Israelis are living under risk daily. So to take risk in business, it's not a big deal. We are in constant risk of terrorism, constant situation of maybe war, maybe not. So to take risk in life and invent things and fail and try again is really no big deal for us. So we do it. There is a resilience and there is no intimidation to fail, to try and try again. However, what is most helpful in our character is one thing that I'm not sure I can explain in English. This is the word chutzpah. I don't know how many of you have heard the word. It's hard to explain in English, but it means being bold, being direct, not to be intimidated, and in many occasions not to be pleasant. So we are chutzpah, we have the chutzpah. And this chutzpah means that you have to achieve, not to be afraid to fight for it, not to be afraid to fail, and to be resilient. So this is it. We are chutzpanim. We have chutzpah. However, having said that, I want to conclude by saying that if we did not have oil, we invented solar energy. We did not have water, we invented irrigation, agriculture, and the drip irrigation system. And if we didn't have oil, the solar, and so and so. But there is one thing that we always remember, and I think it was Mao Zedong who once said that one can achieve anything as long as he dares to imagine it. Thank you.
I invite now Ms. Rikamuri to say a piece.
Hello friends. What I'm going to share with you will have both, sadness as well as hope. While I talk to you, I have this young girl, Malala, from Pakistan, who is fighting for her life in England at this very moment. And she was shot for what? Because she wanted to fight for education of girls. And they sent a shooter, a trained shooter, to hit at her. And now today she is fighting for her life. But here we have all heard about it from the press. But what is real is something very, very different and very frightening. I started my work with children 28 years back. I thought I would be a Sunday social worker, just working for children, giving money, providing education. I came across so many children who remembered their homes, their addresses. We traced their mothers, but the mothers refused to accept them. They said, we do not have funds to accept. Forget so far, even today, one of my community workers in Delhi, her name is Uma. She was beaten 20 years back when badly. She abandoned all her 3 children. They are studying in boarding. When we asked her to bring back her children, she said they're better off away from me. So I think in this world, no tragedy can be greater then when a mother gives up her child, so that the child can have a better living. Because God has made the world in such a fashion that when there is no God, there is mother. And if a mother becomes helpless, what can a woman do? So all these stories, whether they are from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or even in Singapore. When I came to Singapore, I saw these big hoardings. Singapore is where world meets. I like the idea, because when we want to talk about Asian women's issues, SAARC and ASEAN, it's very difficult to get visas. From India, if I want to go to Pakistan, it's virtually impossible. But Singapore somehow is more hospitable. I like this line, what they wrote everywhere, where the world meet. So I said, let us do some survey. Okay, do they want us? Are the women's issues here? Or all the women are empowered? Because if all the women are empowered, our voice will be lost. My biggest lesson came from one of the maids who was working in the apartment. She was 40-year-old. I said, Jenny, you're 40, you're married? She said, yes. I said, now is the time for you to have a child. And both of you are earning enough. She said, a child? For what? So the child will grow up and beat me? I said, beat you? She said, yes, elder abuse is very much happening here. I said, what are you saying? She said, I'd rather bring a dog. I don't want a child. So I put in front of you 3 pictures. One, when a young girl from Pakistan was shot because she wanted to advocate education of girls. Second, in India and Bangladesh, where many mothers have abandoned their children so that they can survive. And thirdly, in this country, where there is elder abuse and the women are not feeling secure. I met President Nathan 2 years back. I asked him, sir, should I work in Singapore? He said, yes, you have to work here, because there are many issues latent here which need attention. And gender aging is one of the main issues. I thought to myself, what is life? If a woman is born as a young girl, she grows up, she gives birth to children, she works for society, and in her golden time, when she can rest a little, when she can be a little happy, she's facing violence and she's facing insecurity. So I mean, her life cycle is not complete. Woman's life cycle, we don't have to just look at it as a woman from 18 to 50, because the longevity is increasing in all the countries. In my country, now women live up to 85 also, though average age is 68. So I mean, we are not going to be helped if we don't help ourselves. I'm sorry, the men also have to help us. Because we have brought them up as young boys, but somewhere we have gone wrong when we have brought them up. That is why when they grow up, they are not respecting us, they are not giving us what we want. So the basic thing, again, finger is pointed at us, that when we are young, when we have young boys in our homes, we bring them up properly so that when they grow up, they give love to everybody around. The world should be full of love. Why is it full of fight? I was recently in Rome, exactly on 4th of October, attending Women International Network meeting. And there was this European astrologer. She made a presentation, beautiful presentation, based on her studies. And she said from December 2012, female energy is going to take over the world. Female energy, which means not competition, but cooperation. Which doesn't mean fight, but love. Which doesn't mean that all the time we are thinking only of making money, but also thinking of a happiness, which we are losing. But let me say one thing, that in our work we studied that what is this word, woman power? We negate this word. Power means power over somebody. We are not powerful, we may have more capacity. So we use the word, the parallel force in India, to describe ourselves. Istri Shakti, the parallel force. Force is the capacity to deliver, the capacity to work, multiple capacity which a woman has, which is lying latent. And when we have come to Singapore, we have coined the word Global Women Forum, because we want to innovate. All of us have same issues. I'm sorry to say, I've seen in Europe and everywhere, as a woman ages, in Singapore there may be problem of violence, there is a problem of her identity. The moment she is old, she is no longer, she sort of gets very embarrassed about her own sexuality and other issues. But we women have been running this world, and we are changing the world today. Let me share with you, we are changing the world. Because I have seen in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, other countries, even this side, and I've seen village girls, they are carrying laptop in a little bag, and they are carrying water in earthen water. I said, you are carrying both the things, technology and tradition. But we women somehow naturally handle the both things together. We can handle technology, we can handle tradition. And I think when we are talking in this forum of inclusiveness and innovation, unless women are included as a natural partner, no innovation is going to become real. So that's all I can say. And Penny, I had met her about 3 months back where she was speaking, moderating a session on inclusiveness. And Asian Development Bank was there and they were showing various parameters of inclusiveness. I told them, please, your analysis is incomplete because we are always talking of including others, the weaker section. Unless we get included in their world, how does the inclusiveness work? When we are talking all the time of helping others, first we must get included in their world, understand their problems. When we talk about women, United Nations is saying 33% is minimum for women to be there. In Nordic countries where women have come in 33% power, they are making decision changing. They are making a lot of changes. In Singapore we are 15%, in India we are less. But let me conclude by saying when women are changing, it's making a difference. When 28 years back I started my work, I met one minister. He was very compassionate. He called me for a meeting. He kept telling me, lady, make a trust. I tried telling him, no, we already have a trust. We are empowered, we are working. I've come to you for help. But that man understood nothing. I'm sorry to say, all men are not like that. But he didn't understand my issues at all. Today when I have women ministers, I go to them, they look at me and they understand my problem. But immediately there is a kind of telepathy. So when I'm saying we need men to be with us, but men also need women to be with them. Thank you very much.
Now, the floor is open to you. Please don't hesitate to introduce yourself and then give your views, or if there's any question that you would like to ask the panelists. You can start now. Yes, my friend Sajid.
I'll open the. I'm not too sure whether I need the mic, but I've got a booming voice, so. But I won't be able to beat next door.
Keep it short and sweet.
Okay, sure. Testing. 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 Okay. Thanks, Mr. Young, for a very insightful presentation. I've always felt that a picture tells 1,000 words, but a movie tells 1,000 pictures. Thanks for that. I've got one observation that I made, and that observation comes from when the ambassador was speaking. I've got a good Israeli friend at Price House who was a friend of mine, and I asked him once, what was it that made a difference in the Israeli community? That every time when I met anyone from the Israeli community, I would find them having excelled in either banking, medicine, law, or the military, right? And there was one interesting thing you said, and the reason why I asked you the question was that we share a lot of similarities so far in this show, except for the war part, and thankfully so. So what I found interesting was that he said to me, the secret recipe was actually the mom. Jewish mom. And it was very interesting. They said that it was a Jewish mom, and then I started reflecting, and I've been thinking very, very hard when the national conversation started. what is it that in Singapore we could do differently? And if you think hard about it, we do a lot of things well. We've done lots of initiatives around integration and everything else. But there's one part which I've not seen to the extent that I wish. And I think that part comes from the lesson I learned from my Jewish friend. He said, you know, the mom actually spends a lot of time with the child when the child is growing up. The kind of values she inculcates in the child are so important that when he grows up, he has that from the very young age, and that actually helps him. So there are three things that we could do, or three outcomes that I think we could achieve as a community. We start focusing on parenting. I don't think it's only the mom's role, it's the dad's role as well. And in Singapore, we haven't probably found, we haven't taken as much initiative in that area about parenting as much as I would like to see. And I think it is about trying to create an environment where you know, the child is going to be very impressionable at that growing up age, and if you can introduce the right value system at that area, at that point in time, otherwise there's a lost opportunity. Secondly, you'll find a society that's going to come up which is very resourceful, and I think thirdly, you will find a very cohesive society as well. And that can only be achieved if we start focusing a little bit more on the parenting part. Because we have done a lot of other initiatives, but we've not done enough on early childhood. Thanks.
I will say, hear me? I want to say something about my Jewish mother. First of all, I think mother doesn't matter if she's a Jew or Muslim or Christian or you name it. There's always one mother. And mother also everywhere in the world, not only in Israel, not only in Judaism, has the best effect on a child. But if you talk about a Jewish mother, not all of us are happy with it because they are overly protected. They are pushing us very hard. They are feeding us all the time, and if we don't finish the plate, it's a scandal. And they are pushing very hard for us to learn, not to excel, to learn our experiences, to learn to become somebody and use your knowledge in the right way. But they are not too pushy when it comes to, for instance, I didn't care if my children did not bring excellent grades. I couldn't care less. I never stood on their back or behind and pushed them, you have to be excellent. I was happy that they are studying. Whatever they got in school, they got in school. Whatever they did not, I could always complete. But as a matter of fact, in Israel, most of the women nowadays are career women. And they are living, you know, the children, some in younger ages, some less, but every woman in Israel, most of the women in Israel are working mothers. So they don't spend the whole day with their children, but they would look into the best way to educate them outside of the house. If they send them to school, they will check what did they learn that day in school. And if they send them to kindergarten, they would make sure that they will have proper treat. But some of them are out. I was out of the house when my children were not very young, but I spent a lot of time at home and I didn't go anywhere abroad on my other positions because I wanted to make sure that my children are growing up till a certain age when I can leave. Oh, now I have grandchildren, no big deal. But Israeli mothers are like every other mother. Jewish mothers are more protective maybe, overly protective, and all of them want to see their daughter, if it is a daughter, they want them to be married to an engineer at least, or a doctor, better. And then if it is a son, it's supposed to be also a doctor or an engineer. There is a push, but not the push that will take the breath out of you to learn and to be all the time so excellent. No, you do whatever you want. We are a very free society, and the children are outside playing in the open from a very young age. You don't know where your children are till you start to cry, to call them for food or for lunch, etc. We are all spread out. We go out. So this is part of our liberal way of upgrowing, and part of our way of tackling issues. And part of it, or the best of it, is the chicken soup.
to add that indeed, as Sanjay Singh mentioned about early childhood education, is an important area that is to be developed as we also